My question is, everybody seems to have turned a blind eye in what is happening today, because if we are saying that what is happening in Downlaod today is against the law, where is the ODPP, where is the DCI in arresting people and charging people in a court of law? Where is the registrar of political parties in making sure that political parties play as per the rules? Where is EACC in looking at state officers who should not be participating in these campaigns? They're doing that. Everybody else seems to be quiet, but us who are talking about it. Why is that the case?
I think in part, Kenyans have resigned themselves to this is the way we do politics. So I'll respond to a question which Ndu asked, which is, can you use what is happening in the electoral process to nullify an election? Yes. There's two ways you can nullify an election. One is to just go with the numbers. Say the numbers don't add up, so because they don't add up, which is what happened in 2017, we nullify that. The other way is to simply say the way in which the electoral process was carried out is not in consonance with the Constitution. And one of those is just the environment of the election. Does it support the free expression of the will of the voters? And one of the ways in which the free expression of the will of the voters is violated is by bribery, right? So when I say Kenyans have resigned themselves, I think what I mean is, let's look at the by-elections that happened last year. We saw what happened in Berry North. We saw the IEBC, because the IEBC, I'm not saying that the IEBC has no power to sanction. Let me make that clear. The DPP has power to prosecute election offences, but the IEBC enforces the Electoral Code of Conduct, which every candidate and every political party subscribes to. So the IEBC can do something, and we saw, for example, last year in Kasipul, there was fining of candidates who violated the rules. So the IEBC does have some power. But for those powers to be exercised, what usually is required is someone to initiate it via complaint. And so when I say Kenyans have resigned themselves, I think two things have happened. One, when it comes to the political class, it's become a no-holds-barred contest. It's a race to the bottom. It's the other side is doing, we do as much or do worse. So if they go low, we go lower, as opposed to if they go low, we go higher, right? Yeah. And so what that means is the very people who should be raising concerns about the irregularities in the process are themselves just saying, if you can't beat them, join them, right? The average voter, back to the point I was making about the pressure from the bottom, if on an average, let's just speak about Downlaod as a microcosm. If on average I was making 300 shillings a day, and during the campaign process I'm making 2,500 shillings a day, am I reporting anybody? The quality of my life is better for this period, and I also know it's for this period, right? So there's the feeling of we cannot get services from the government on an average day. So during elections, we get everything that we can, knowing the next time we say this is the next election. So who exactly is complaining about the system so that the actors who have a role to play can do what they need to do?